Oh boy, time now for Mr Nailsin's Wednesday Comics. And we're just going to catch up on Conan the Barbarian. And this is an interesting thing because it's based on an actual Robert E. Howard story, and it's been adapted before in other comic book versions of Conan, where he meets this goddess, and basically the main points of the story ended in the previous issue. Here, there's sort of an epilogue to it, is what this story is, and it details a certain significance to the lore of Conan and how much of the supernatural elements that he comes to believe in. Now, of course, in later adventures and whatnot, he's encountering all kinds of weird stuff. But at this time, this was an earlier part in his life, and you get a lot of backstory that he's remembering with his father and his belief in Crom and all that. And Conan himself wasn't sure about that. So anyway, hours after Conan was found injured and confused, collapsed in the swirling snows of frigid Asgard, his body is settled at the Aesir war camp. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but there is still pain, but with food in his belly and warmth from the fire it shall pass. Crom's children do not cavil about their scars or afflictions. Unsettled, however, in the Cimmerian's mind, his inner voice flares with thoughts caught fire, burning brighter than even the bonfire flame that lights the darkened landscape around him. Smoldering the edges of his ignorance, he begins to understand that the simplest questions to ask are also the hardest to answer. And at this moment, one such Spartan query stands tall over all others. Frozen faith, the hidden wild. What do you believe? So, that piece of cloth is a physical manifestation of the goddess, which at first, he was figuring, well, I was hallucinating, I was in the cold, and was the sole survivor of the battle and all that. But then, hey, what's that in your hand? So now it flashes back to his father. And here? No, lad. I need it closer to the anvil. It's hot as hell's in here. No, just a mite unpleasant is all. Get used to unpleasant things, boy. Life is full of 'em. Be thankful Crom gave you courage to face all things head-on with no fear. And pay attention. You'll spill that river water if you don't. It's not me. Earthquake. Aye. A small one this time, Crom shuffling his step. Liam said quakes were devils moving underfoot. Did he now? Aye. And if he's right, then whose devils do you think they'd be? Crom's? Right! And that's why we say Crom's devils. Quite a stew, ain't it? Indeed, Gorm. My thoughts are stirred and most unsound. I meant actual stew. Get another bowl before the cauldron's bare. So they eat some stew. I saw Attila for just a moment in a bloody haze, and it's gripped my mind ever since. But you touched her. Touched a goddess true. And he did. And so that's basically it. He's had this conflict, and it shows his younger life of his skepticism about Crom or any of the gods, really. And, of course, in most stories, he he gives voice to Crom, and he says, "By Crom this," and all that sort of stuff, and he accepts Crom as his god. But early on, he wasn't so sure about any of it, and then this happens. So this is like an early encounter with the supernatural that Conan experienced. And well, when you're holding a piece of her dress in your hand, you can't really say it was all a dream. So basically, it's that's what it is. But it's well written, and there's a fight that breaks out and whatnot, and it's more to there's a certain sadness about Conan's life as he forges through. But how could there not be? With despite all the high adventure and everything, there's the consequences of the violence and whatnot. But nevertheless, despite being a rather quiet story, it's quite good. And it's this nice epilogue to this encounter that Conan had. Meanwhile, Titan has its crossover event with the Robert E. Howard characters in Conan the Barbarian, Battle of the Blackstone. The Blackstone, of course, had been introduced in their Conan the Barbarian series, and now it spans the eras. And I'm not all that familiar with other Robert E. Howard characters. Knew of King Cole. Solomon Kane, I've read a handful of his stories. As for any of the others, I'm not that familiar with. So, but it's this interesting thing with supernatural powers bringing people from different eras together for this event series. So here we are. I'm not sure about these guys from the 30s, if there was a Robert E. Howard narrative of characters like that. And didn't know anything about Agnes here. But Solomon Kane I knew, yeah. So there they are. They're both encountering this bizarre apparition. They're all reacting to it. And it's this guy who's basically a representation of Robert E. Howard himself. He's this author and stumbled into the sigil that represents the Blackstone's power and all that. So there he is, and he just keeps his wraith, as it were, keeps babbling these sayings. Restless, roving, drifting, uncussed, and bounded no more. So there we have it, and he's gonna, chat with the crew here. Yet lured, drawn to spirits with strength, courage born of heroes or fools. And which are we, my friend, my phantom friend? Carawan, don't get any closer. Lord knows what he can do. Dead. We are all dead. I see. By your hand, are you merely a messenger? I was merely a man, a mortal maker clutching the sand, slipping through our fingers, yearning to stop them from washing away in the tide. Are we to fight then, strange spectre? Drawn to spirits with strength, courage born of heroes or fools. So they're all hearing the same conversation, you see. I have been both many times, and surely will be many times more before I'm dead. Dead. We are all dead. So it's the same dialogue, but it seems to interact with them, Are you here to slay me, or merely bring fright? I was merely a man, a mortal maker clutching the sand, slipping through our fingers, yearning to stop them from washing away in the tide. Clearly you are one of the damned. I'll pray for your soul's absolution. But haunt me not, lest we solve this with prayer forged steel. But then one guy has to disturb everything. Damn you! It's been you this whole time, hasn't it? looming over me all these years, plaguing my nightmares. You and your goddamn sigil. It's not a sigil, you fool. It's a word. Oh, yeah? Then what the fuck is this? And, well, there it is. It means you're marked as I was. Hunted. The eerie silence of the Wanderers Club is broken by a sudden sparking fissure of light that begins devouring the air, crackling with unknowable eldritch energy. It's Captain Marvel. So anyway, a thing comes through, and it brings them all together and all this sort of thing. So they're off and running on this strange, bizarre adventure that involves the world of Conan the Barbarian and the other characters. Which brings us to issue 3. And so there you get a glimpse of the creature that is stalking them. And a character from Conan's past shows up. So, yeah, it's her from the story that Conan's own narrative did with the Blackstone that eventually resulted in Thulsa Doom being behind it. But apparently the Blackstone is a thing unto itself. And she's back from that, even though this is a much older Conan than the one she knew, and so on and so forth. But there's, of course, for many points in time, they're brought together, and it's this weird thing. This entity is able to speak to them across the different eras, and it really doesn't, in whichever era you're in, it doesn't matter to it. So there we are. 8 at the beginning of the tale, now 6 remain. 6 souls against the eldritch unknown. Yeah, they lost one last issue. So, Hyborian Age, the Pickland Jungles of Kandrahara. I don't know, I'm probably not saying that right. Even if we keep a steady pace, this trek will take days. Despite the evil we face, I'll not complain about spending more time with you, Cimmerian. Indeed. Seeing you here untouched by time's march, it's dreamlike, but also quite unnerving. How did you survive then when the Black Tower crumbled? See? In Conan number 4. See? Check it out. The citadel split and I fell into an abyss. For a moment I saw you neath those murky waters fighting the darkness, but then a flash of lightning and you were gone. Someplace else, in a place of ever and ever, I saw my mother's spirit. She bade me to finish that which began in the ancient past. The black stone beast that stalks us across time is terrifying. But if we find the source of corruption and destroy it, we can destroy the beast as well. The hunt begun as my ancestors will be complete. The curse will be lifted. And then what? Will you live once more, or fade away like a ghost? I do not know. She'll probably fade away. You know, it's sad, but when my grandfather spoke of distant lands and great experiences, never could I have imagined such journeys as these. The years since we fought at each other's side, they have been glorious, tragic, memorable. I would expect no less from a man with your strength and courage. Sometimes I wonder if courage is the word for it. I am relentless. I drink deep of life's bloody wine, but its taste has yet to quench me. I'll take my share and others besides if they're too damn weak to keep their cups. Crom cares not, and the feast carries on. You are older, your skin more scarred, but you are still the man I knew, still burning bright. Let's hope that fire has fuel enough to find our way to the heart of this damned jungle. I know we're moving deeper, but beyond that, our destination is unclear. Not quite. I have a way to help guide us to our goal. As Brissa unwraps a small piece of fabric, the air around it seems to grow heavy, and under the somber canopy of the trees, the shadows already present them even darker than before. Oh, seem even darker than before. I don't know why I can't see what's right in front of me. Anyway, she's got a shard. You carry a piece of cursed black stone? Why? Before the scout can answer, a shimmer of eldritch energy quivers forth from the shard, accompanied by a sputtering whisper Conan wishes he did not recognize. It's James Allison, the annihilated author whose cosmic cry brought the group together. Courage, born of heroes or fools. What's left of his strange spirit is drawn toward the source, a subtle tug in the proper direction. As useful as it is dreadful. Well, we'll visit with some of the other characters before we take leave of it. So, this is utter madness. If I had anywhere else to go. If you did, then it wouldn't be a mission now, would it? I have traversed many jungles in my travels, Miss Agnes, and seen many strange sights. Wherever or whenever we are, all I know is that it must be God's will. Don't preach me some hoary sermon of holy destiny. I've seen many a devil clutch his cross astride Satan's steed. My blade is well versed in a world of bastards and betrayers. If any of you misanthropes step out of line, I'll be happy to cut you crimson. Why wait for the enemy when we can kill ourselves, eh? So anyway, it's all a lot like that. But it's good stuff. Just checking in with the Conan books, which for the most part remain probably the best out there. The Ghost Machine and Mark Miller give them a run for their money. But yeah, it maintains, and it has a kind of a perfect template, and as long as you stay within it, you just can't go wrong with the likes of these. And apparently Solomon Kane will get his own series, so I'll be looking forward to that as well. Don't know about Agnes here, but we'll see how that unfolds. So there we are. We're caught up with the world of Conan and friends. See, there'd be a cartoon series. Conan and his amazing friend. No, I wouldn't do that. But anyway, that's what I read for this week. Come back next week, and I'll talk about what I read then, too. It's what I do on this particular show.